This is Secret City Geek Lab. I'm Alan, and I'm talking with...
Joey, Shope.
And Will Acker.
All right, and we're talking 3D movies today. So, the question that I want to pose to you guys is it worth seeing a 3D movie? What is your experience with 3D movies? Joey?
Well, I had the classic story of new 3D movies. Saw Avatar, saw Avengers, saw essentially all the big blockbuster movies in 3D. Was it worth it? Yes and no. In Avengers, no. In Avatar, yes. Because the way James Cameron made it, however you feel about him, he shot it in 3D. He said, this is going to be in 3D, here's what it's doing, and here's how we're going to do it. Whereas movies like Avengers and movies that came after it, they saw Avatar and all its success and said, we'll just copy that and make it 3D later. James Cameron shot it in 3D and then had 3D effects on top of that. Whereas Avengers shot in 2D, had 3D effects superimposed on it.
Okay, Will, what's your experience with 3D movies?
I've seen a few more. I've seen more of the Pixar movies, Finding Nemo. I saw Up in 3D. Again, I did see Avengers in 3D, as well as some of the Captain America films. Watching them 2D versus 3D, I don't feel like there's much of a difference. When you're watching, like, say, for example, Captain America, there's not a lot of difference. There's a little bit of a depth, but I don't feel like you're almost... I guess my point is you're paying too much for what you're getting. I feel like it's super expensive. You're paying an extra $3 or $4 for the glasses, and then you get the experience, but I feel like you can get the same experience in a movie theater, 2D versus 3D.
Yeah, I mean, I heard John Lasseter describe... When they made the Pixar movies into 3D, which is really easy to do because it's computer animated.
Yeah.
But they described it as just opening the second eye. Where they really didn't put any 3D effects. They just opened up that other eye so that you saw depth. But what I've personally found in that was that, I forgot I was watching a 3D movie. And to me, I didn't mind the 3D effects. But if I'm going to forget I'm watching a 3D movie, why would I pay extra to see a 3D movie?
Exactly. Going to go back to the Avengers point. Can any of you actually remember anything that was in 3D?
Yeah, it was Iron Man.
That's the one thing I can actually name. That was 3D.
Okay, so hold on. It was Iron Man flying through New York. It was in 3D. You could see the depth. You could see where he was flying. You see him flying around the building. It really worked its way with the 3D.
That 3 minutes was not worth the $3 extra.
That is true. And that point, you're getting to the where does it become a gimmick versus a kind of a form of media, because movies are like $1 billion industry. People put a lot of money into these, but at what point are we having things kind of jump out at you, like you go see something at an amusement park versus going to see an actual movie? Because movies should have depth. Movies should have like a storyline, and should have some form to it. And I feel like when you put 3D and they kind of focus on the 3D more, you get more of the gimmicky stuff, like Iron Man coming out at you.
Which is fine for an amusement park, because I remember like the Ants one at Disneyland. That's in 4D, where you can feel it too, but it's mostly in 3D. Mm-hmm. But that's like a 20-minute show maybe. But I don't want to spend the $3 extra for a 2-hour movie for like a handful of minutes of 3D.
Yeah, but it's kind of interesting. You talk about gimmicks. I would almost think that for me to see a 3D movie, I'd want gimmicks. Otherwise, you're just opening that second eye, the other eye, and you're not really giving me a reason to see it in 3D.
Okay.
Is there an example of a 3D movie you thought really hit it? Now, Joey, you said Avatar. How about you, Will?
I mean, Avatar is definitely one of them. Unfortunately, I guess it's so not relevant to me, I guess, that I can't think of a specific movie that I was like, wow, this was amazing, blew my mind in the 3D sense of it.
That's my point. It's, unless you shoot it in 3D and have, for only the purpose of 3D, then it's just a 2D movie with a little bit more pizzazz, and it's not worth it for me.
Yeah.
Okay, so example is the Oz the Great and Powerful. Are you going to see that in 3D? Would you see that in 3D?
I'm definitely not going to. That seems more of a 2D kind of movie. I don't feel that extra $3 or $4 and have to wear glasses the entire movie is going to affect how I feel about the movie or give me a deeper connection to the movie at all.
Yeah, see, I would disagree. I would say that specifically that movie, because it's a fantasy world, because it's a computer-generated world, that the 3D would probably work better in a movie like that as compared to Avengers, which is more or less a practically shot film.
Well, did Alice in Wonderland come out in 3D?
Yes, it did.
Yeah. Was that worth it?
There were a lot of 3D effects in it. I would say that I did enjoy it in 3D.
Well, I believe that whoever's making the Oz Great and Powerful was probably a better 3D worker than Tim Burton.
Yeah.
I have no idea if I can prove that or not, but
I mean, definitely Tim Burton put a lot of 3D effects into it.
Yeah.
I mean, when you have all those cards coming at you with swords and things like that, I mean, you're playing to a 3D audience in that way.
And that's where I have a problem with that. It's the storytelling versus the gimmick, and I feel that there are other ways to portray a depth or to get involved in that story. And the best way I can think of it is recently The Hobbit came out probably a couple months ago, and instead of trying to do the whole 3D thing, they took the frame rate and they slowed it down. So that gave it a little more of a depth to it. It had more of a color to The Hobbit as compared to the regular movie, and you didn't have all of the... It felt more real, I felt, with the slower frame rate as compared to having Wear 3D and getting the 3D stuff going on.
So did you see The Hobbit in 3D or just in the high frame rate?
I just saw it in the high frame rate.
Okay, I saw it in both, and I thought it was amazing in both. It was kind of annoying, and if you go to our blog at secretcitycomedy.com/geeklab, there's a whole article I wrote about The Hobbit and the whole high frame rate thing, but we'll get to that another time. So, Will, real quickly, what would it take you to see a movie in 3D?
Something that completely immersed me without having to A, be gimmicky, or B, and this is going to sound like such a little non-disclosure, it's the glasses that get me. The glasses throw me off, and it's going to sound horribly silly, but I'm not used to wearing glasses, so as a person who's never worn glasses before, having to put something on to watch something throws me off.
Well, as a glasses wearer, let me tell you about putting on a second pair of glasses.
So what, Joey, real quick, what would it take to get you to see 3D?
If they shot in 3D, made it all about the 3D, it has to be a 3D movie, not a 2D movie with 3D superimposed upon it.
Okay, that's a separate discussion that we'll probably have at another time. So this is Secret City Geek Lab. I'm Alan with...
Joey.
And William.